You know that feeling when someone tells you to stop daydreaming and focus? Yeah, we've all been there. It's the standard advice for getting things done. But then you think about it, and don't some of our absolute best ideas pop into our heads when we're, well, not focusing? So that's the big question we're tackling today. So let's get right into it. Is that mental drift pulling you off track, or is it secretly your guide to the next big breakthrough? For years, there's been this tug of war between the science and, just our gut feeling. In this explainer, we're going to get to the bottom of it. So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with why daydreaming has such a bad rap, and then we'll flip the script and look at its connection to pure genius. After that, we're diving into the neuroscience, your brain's two key networks, to find that sweet spot for creativity. And finally, the really good part, how you can actually make your wandering mind start working for you. Okay, let's start with what most of us believe. Daydreaming is basically a problem. It feels unproductive, kind of like a bug in our mental software that we're supposed to fix. And you know what? For a long time, there was some pretty solid science that seemed to back this up. This one line, this one quote from a huge study back in 2010, it just took hold. Basically, researchers used an app to ping thousands of people randomly throughout the day, asking them what they were doing and how they felt. And the results? They were pretty clear. People were consistently less happy when their minds were wandering than when they were focused. And look, this isn't just about feeling a little distracted. For some people, this goes way beyond that. It becomes a real clinical issue. It's called maladaptive daydreaming, and it's basically the extreme end of this whole thing, where daydreaming becomes this all-consuming escape that starts to damage a person's life. And you can really see how disruptive this can be. We're talking about people who get so lost in these incredibly vivid internal worlds that it starts to interfere with their real lives, their careers, their relationships. It can feel like a compulsion they just can't shake. And it turns out, it's pretty common for adults with ADHD. We're talking something like 1 in 5. So yeah, that whole unhappy mind idea, it's got some serious teeth. But okay, what if there's a flip side? What if that exact same state, the one we call being unfocused, is actually where genius is born? I mean, history is just packed with these incredible stories of breakthroughs that didn't happen when someone was staring at a problem, but when they were just letting their mind drift. I mean, just think about some of these. The scale is mind-blowing. Paul McCartney, he literally woke up one morning and the entire melody for Yesterday was just there, in his head, fully formed. Mary Shelley had a vivid daydream that became the entire plot of Frankenstein. Elias Howe dreamt of warriors with holes in their spear tips, and boom, that solved the design for the sewing machine needle. Even Nikola Tesla visualized his revolutionary AC motor in a sudden flash of insight. But maybe the most legendary example of this is Dmitri Mendeleev. So this guy was totally stuck. He was wrestling with how to organize all the chemical elements and just couldn't crack it. Then one night, he had a dream where it all just fell into place. He woke up, sketched it out, and gave us the periodic table, a cornerstone of modern science that was just hiding in his subconscious. And this isn't just a collection of cool stories, right? There's actual science here. There's a name for this creative zone. It's called the hypnagogic state. It's that magical kind of floaty period right as you're drifting off to sleep, where your brain starts making all these wild, new connections. It's why innovators like Thomas Edison would nap holding steel balls so they'd fall and wake him up just as he was drifting off, allowing him to grab those brilliant ideas right from that sweet spot. Okay, so how do we square this circle? On one hand, you've got the unhappy, distracted mind. On the other, the mind of a creative genius. Well, the answer, it turns out, is in this incredible, complex dance that's happening inside your brain all the time between two major networks. Think of it like this. First up, you've got the default mode network, or DMN. Think of this as your brain's wild idea generator. It's the one that fires up when you're just chilling out, daydreaming, and it loves to connect old memories with random thoughts to create something totally new. And then there's the executive control network, the ECN. This is the CEO, the boss. It kicks into gear when you need to buckle down, focus, and actually get stuff done. Now, most of the time, these two networks are like a seesaw, right? When one is active, the other one is quiet. But, and this is the cool part, neuroscientists looked at the brains of super creative people and found something amazing. Their networks don't fight. They cooperate. They dance together. The idea generator tosses out a wild new idea, and the COO immediately jumps in to say, okay, is this useful? How can we make this happen? And believe me, this isn't just a nice little theory. There was this massive study recently, we're talking the biggest, most diverse of its kind, that looked at the brains of over 2,400 people, and it confirmed a direct link here. It turns out the real secret sauce for creativity isn't about having a strong DMN or a strong ECN, it's all about how well you can switch back and forth between them. But wait, it gets even more interesting. It's not just that these networks cooperate, it's how they cooperate. It's about finding the perfect rhythm for that dance. So, that same huge study, they found they could actually predict how creative someone was just by looking at the number of times their brain switched between that idea generating DMN and the focused ECN. It's the frequency of the dance that really matters. And this is what brings us to what scientists call the creativity sweet spot. They found this really fascinating pattern, what's called an inverted U. Here's what that means. If you don't switch enough, you're not very creative. You're either stuck in a rut or just lost in space. But here's the shocker. If you switch too much, your creativity also drops. It's probably a sign of a really chaotic, scattered mind. The absolute peak for creativity, that sweet spot, is right there in the middle, with a balanced, dynamic back and forth. Okay, so this brings us right back to where we started. If mind wandering is this crucial part of the creative dance, why on earth did that first big study tell us it makes us miserable? Well, it looks like newer research has found the missing piece of the puzzle. It seems that original study might have missed one absolutely crucial detail. It's not that your mind is wandering, it's what your mind is wandering about. Think about it. Stewing over your anxieties is obviously going to make you feel bad, but daydreaming about your next vacation, that's going to make you feel pretty good. The wandering isn't the problem, it's the emotional destination. Okay, so what do we do with all this? The big takeaway here is you don't have to crush your daydreams. You don't have to fight your wandering mind. You just have to learn how to be its guide. You can actually harness this process. So here are a few really practical things you can try. First off, put a journal right by your bed. That moment when you first wake up, your idea generator, that DMN, has been working all night. So just grab the journal and write down whatever is in your head. Second, you can try something called dream incubation. Before you fall asleep, just really focus on a specific problem you're trying to solve. You're basically giving your subconscious an assignment for the night. And, of course, you can always try that classic Edison method we talked about to catch those incredible ideas from that hypnagogic state. All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. First, your wandering mind is a double-edged sword. It's not just good or bad. Second, real creativity isn't about focus or daydreaming. It's about the dance between your brain's idea generator and its CEO. The goal is to hit that sweet spot of balanced switching. And finally, remember this. It's not that your mind is wandering that makes you happy or sad. It's where your mind goes. So all of this leaves you with a final, really important question. The next time you feel your mind start to drift, are you going to fight it and try to shut it down? Or are you going to gently guide it and see where it takes you?